Welcome back to the Gracefully Wild Soul podcast. Today, we're going to drop into the season of joy. We're going to talk about summer solstice. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the Gracefully Wild Soul podcast. I'm KIRSTEN, a mother and soul guide, and this is a space where your soul is witnessed and the frequency of your heart is felt. Together, we will have intimate conversations about the essence of life, the beauty of your soul's path, and our evolution as women and as mothers. Through channeled words, lived experiences, and the wisdom of nature's rhythms, the soul, and the sacred feminine, this is where the gracefully wild woman begins to rise. Summer solstice is just around the corner if you live in the Northern Hemisphere. So summer solstice lands on June 21st, which is also the first day of Cancer season. So we're going to talk about both of those as they coincide with each other. They are this really beautiful, like marriage, I guess you could say, or this partnership that work together at this time of the year, this next turning of the wheel. So summer solstice is also known as Litha on the wheel of the year. And summer solstice is a time in which the sun is at its peak. It is also called midsummer. So a lot of people actually, when you look at the wheel of the year, look at this time as the height of the light. And that is because quite literally we have the sun at its peak. So although we might look at it as the beginning of summer, that's because school's out for summer. Um, it is actually the middle point, the midway point. We're on our way to the fall equinox from here. So summer solstice is the time to celebrate the peak of the light. It is the midway point between essentially the spring equinox and the fall equinox. And of course, we have Beltane in there, and we will have another cross-quarter holiday before we get to the fall equinox. But we are at a time where the sun is so potent. The light is consuming the darkness. And so it is often very much associated with the yang energy, the masculine energy, because this sun energy is so strong at this point. However, it is also such a beautiful, beautiful time to connect with our feminine. And that's what Cancer season does for us. That's why they live together in this moment, because we can't have one without the other. We can't just completely dive 100% into one energetic pool. We have to find balance and marriage between the two. So, although the sun and the light and the heat and the fire energy is at its peak, it is, really truly consuming most of our world. We have more daylight than we have evening on this day. We are also being invited into the deep waters of Cancer. The sign of Cancer is the sign of the Great Mother, often associated with the moon. Like that is the planetary alignment with this zodiac sign, the ruler of this sign. So we have here the sun and the moon. And Cancer is all about our emotions, our intuition, that nurturing love from a mother, the sign of the mother, the womb, the creator of all life. And Cancer is a water sign. So we have this water element that is coming in on summer solstice. So once again, we're finding this marriage, this partnership, this balance between two elements and two ways of living life. We have this doing, this moving forward, this action oriented energy with the sun, with the peak of the light. And we have this restful, nurturing, loving, just sweet type of energy with the water, the Cancer season that we all need during summer. Because honestly, most of the time, most of our lives, especially if you have young children that are maybe of school age, we're living in this yang energy all the time. We are in the go. We are in the action moving type of lifestyle. And so summer season and Cancer season is actually this incredible time that most of us, if we can, accept as the time to slow down, as the time to rest, as the time to drop into our joy, to find our fun again. And so that is the beautiful combination that we get from the summer season, from the summer solstice and Cancer season when we bring them together. Okay, I'm going to grab my notes because we have a lot to talk about today. All right. So, some of the themes around summer solstice, which I already kind of mentioned, but that you will see surface during this season, during this time. And they are themes and energetic signatures that you get to work with. Every season, we are in this new place of reinvention. We are in a place to work with, ourselves in a different way. So take summer as an opportunity to do that, especially if you're able to take some time away from work or maybe at school or whatever it is that you have going on in your day to day. Just try to tap into this summer energy for yourself. So, the themes around summer are obviously the sun, this fire energy, this warmth that we have to work with. That means that we also have available to us this energetic signature of creativity, of creation. We have joy, we have youth, we have expansion. I just was driving home from the grocery store yesterday, and everybody's school schedules are a little bit different. My kids are out of school today, but some schools are already out, and you just see kids and they're riding their bikes and it's just a different vibe. They're like chatting with each other, they're being silly, they're having fun. And it's this idea of really of expansion and freedom. Like I said earlier, school's out for summer and just that pure excitement that lives inside of your bones when you get to close a chapter. This is a threshold, okay? And I love an opportunity to celebrate a threshold. Maybe your kids are going into a new grade. Maybe you are just taking time away from a project. Whatever it is, treat this as a moment where you are walking from one place to the next and honor that threshold, honor that change. Okay, exploration. Again, all of this like inner child energy is just super potent during this season. Also, travel, curiosity, and abundance, 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 abundance. This is such a rewarding time to connect with the abundance that we have in our lives, the abundance of Mother Earth. And we see that this is the time where we actually really truly get to witness the abundance of our world. So if you're able to drop into a farmer's market this summer or just go to the beach or a park, you're going to see people outside. You're going to see people enjoying each other's company, laughing, you know, gathering the abundant fruit and vegetables, the summer squash season, the watermelons, all of those delicious things that we now get to actually enjoy in the physical form. In winter, we're thinking about it. In spring, we're planting it. In summer, we actually get to taste it. We get to enjoy it. We get to see it before we move to the next season. So, those are some of the energetic signatures, the themes to work with during this season. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Nothing that I do in my life, I try not to make it overcomplicated because life is complicated in so many different ways. So this could just be that quick intentional moment that you have where you're like, you see, yeah, like something at the farmer's market and you're like, that's it. Those fresh green beans or those snap peas, if they're still kind of lingering, or you see that fresh watermelon, you're going to be like, yes, I'm getting that. I'm going to go, you know, eat it right now for my lunch and just sit outside in the sunshine and soak in this beautiful light. So it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be grand. Just be intentional with your time and your space and how you're connecting to the energy. Okay, so we have this balance that we're working with, right? This yin and this yang. So, this idea around the yin being this rest and pleasure and just soaking in life, right? That is that feminine energy, that receiving energy, that watery energy. And then we have this yang energy, this energy of action and joy and fun and travel and expansion. And so again, just trying to find a balance between those two, right? This idea of pulling back, maybe slowing down in the mornings, maybe taking a longer lunch if you're able to, if it's from work or some other moment in your life where you're just able to take that long lunch. The Europeans, they have it down. They have it down to the T, right? Everywhere else in the world, except the United States, for the most part, are able to find this yin in the middle of the day after they've been charging forward. And they're enjoying their life. So that is the season that we are moving into. Joy, enjoy it, live your life. Okay, so let's go into, I don't know, just a few little like activities or things or practices, rituals that you can connect with either on summer solstice or just over the course of this season. I do like to have a little mini ritual on summer solstice or on the actual day that we are, changing seasons. It's a marker, it's a threshold again to honor that. And so I'll talk about kind of a little mini ritual that you can do on the summer solstice, but take all of these little practices and use them wherever it feels good to you, wherever it's available. So, the first practice that I love, or the first ritual that I love, which you can absolutely do on summer solstice, is making sun tea. This has actually become one of my favorite rituals, and my kids love it too. I usually make mine as an herbal tea, but you can absolutely make this as a green tea or a black tea, but maybe finding a blend with it. So I will actually add in the show notes a little kind of overview of how I make my sun tea and a little recipe. But essentially, this is what it looks like. You grab a mason jar or a big glass container. You grab your favorite tea, and this could be just an already pre-made tea. You don't have to go do a loose leaf. You could just grab your favorite tea bags, and maybe you just be playful with it. Like add in 3 different tea bags that you would have never put together and surprise yourself. But if you have loose leaf, that's a great way to experiment, to try something new. And so just, make your blend, whatever it is, grab your tea bags, drop them into the glass container, fill them with the hot water, and then take it outside, ideally, if you can, and find a place outside that's sitting in the height of the sun. So try to put it out, just before you get there. So you're getting like all of the yumminess of the sunshine. So usually the height of the sun is, around noon is that's, the peak of our day. So maybe bring it outside if you have a sunny spot, 10:30, 11, somewhere in there, and let it sit there. and let it sit in the sun. And in fact, let it warm itself in the sun. Allow it to drop in and take and soak in all of that sunshine energy, that solar energy, that fire energy, that creation that's coming down from this beautiful star that warms our earth. And, hopefully you made a big batch because then you have lots to share with the friends, or maybe it becomes part of your lemonade stand. And then just, bring it inside. And if you are ready to drink it, drink it. Like enjoy it in that moment and sit outside while you're drinking it. And then save it, put it in the fridge, or maybe share it with your friends and family. Or if you're going to have a lemonade stand, it's actually a great way. You could do like a little Arnold Palmer or sell it with your lemonade or just mix it in with your lemonade. And yeah, there's just so many different ways to just tap into that sun energy and bring it in directly to your body. And we're also working with that water element, that Cancer element that we have. So, yeah, that's one of my favorite rituals, the sun tea. A few other ideas also kind of revolving around food, because if you haven't noticed, I love to cook and eat. And I just find that food is such a connector. So for me, I use a lot of food elements in all of my rituals. But, you know, a simple way to again connect with the season is going to your local farmers market. So I already mentioned this before, but now, maybe during the summer season, you have time to go grab that farmer's market slot, that's usually in the middle of the day, or you can't make it, you have a meeting or et cetera. Maybe this is your opportunity to take the day or a couple hours to go to the farmer's market. Or if you have kids, they're off from school and you guys can go to the farmer's market and just see what's in season. Grab that seasonal produce and enjoy it. Make it part of your lunch. If you're gonna cook your dinner, grab the things for dinner and really take in the summer season into your life by way of cooking a meal, cooking a beautiful meal with the, seasonal ingredients. So that's another way to just tap into a very simple ritual to connect with summer. And one of my favorite desserts of the summer season is blackberry pie. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. And so one of my most favorite pastimes as a kid was picking blackberries. So if you live in a community where you can go and actually like forage or, pick berries like blueberries or blackberries, whatever is in season in your community, love this practice for the summer season. You get to be outside, you get to be enjoying Mother Earth's bounty, obviously be respectful. And, I always like to just say like a little blessing before I go and take the fruit, and just a moment of gratitude for Mother Earth's bounty. So picking blackberries, enjoying the seasonal produce and whatever is being offered in your community is such a great way to connect with the summer season. Okay, two other little practices, which might be a little bit more geared towards if you have kids, but summer is all about the inner child. So, you know what? If you need to tap into that inner child, let's get playful with it. Actually, I think I have three. So, two are a bit more, kid focused, but they are also one of my favorite things. So, the first one being paper mache. I seriously was obsessed with paper mache when I was a kid. I just loved like the sliminess of the glue. But paper mache is like, you have this like glue type of compound that you've made. I think it's like glue and maybe some water. And then you have these strips of newspaper, which might be harder to find these days, but maybe it's that free newspaper that's sitting on your porch for the past week. And you get to like soak it in this glue, and then you get to put it over some sort of hard surface and create some sort of paper mache item. And so I just think it's a super fun, like messy project that you can do in the summer, where maybe during the regular school year, whatever, you're like, no, thank you. I don't need more messes. But in the summer, we have more time, we have more space. So, like, get the messy projects out and just dive into it. Another one is like a sun catcher, which is essentially like a stained glass. My girls actually made something similar in Young at Art this year, and it was just really cool. And they actually used real pieces of glass, but you could use just, it doesn't have to be glass, but they could be little, like recycled bottles. If you are able to cut like a green bottle or there's some other colors, or even tissue paper, you can just like cut pieces of tissue paper and glue them or paste them on to like a jar. And so then you have like almost like this little stained glass, but just a little craft to bring in the light in different ways and see the different facets of light, because light is not just white, light is colorful, and we just see certain fractions or fractals of the light. So, this is just a fun activity to kind of honor that. If you're one of my adult audience listeners and you don't have kids, last year, one of the books that I really tapped into over the summer was The Artist's Way. And I just loved this book for a reinvention of my creativity. It really allowed my creative voice to come forward. So I love summer for creative writing. I love summer for poetry. I love summer for writing songs or singing songs or humming. And literally, what I would do is I would go outside in the morning, and the Artist's Way has this practice called morning pages. And you just essentially, it's like a brain unload onto the paper. And at first, it's all these like logical things, right? Of like getting it out of your body, just like blah, blah, blah. It's like rambling on paper. But eventually, once you get past like all of these logical pieces, the creativity begins to flow. You begin to open this channel for everything that begins to just flow through you. You literally are just flowing. And I would write these little poems and I would make little voice notes of my poems. And I look back on that time when I was really deep in this portal and I was allowing myself to just express. It felt so, so good. And I'm going to do it again this summer. Okay. So I'm going to do it again this summer. Maybe you want to do it with me. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something together. But it's an invitation to drop into your creativity, your creative portal. So I'm going to read a little poem that I actually wrote recently because I did keep up the practice, just maybe not as consistently. So here's a little summer poem for you. The golden light is carried by firefly, the swinging ropes of tires and ocean waves of surfing bodies. Sticky watermelon makes laughing bellies. Freedom of life is finding joy in summer. And that's it. That's my quick little poem for you. I have really been so rewarded by finding this piece of me again and beginning to write poetry. So it feels a little vulnerable to share it, but I want to do more of it. So I'm putting it out there. You can do it too. Okay, so if we are going to build a summer altar, we get to bring in all of these things that we've just been talking about and more. So I love sunflowers for an altar. So if you want to build a little summer solstice altar and, use that to celebrate your day and then continue it in some form or fashion through the season, go grab some of those sunflowers. They turn towards the sun. They are literally like some of the most magical flowers, but they have that solar energy to them. So bringing in that solar energy onto your altar. And then also maybe a crystal like citrine. Citrine is that orange, that yellow crystal. So it has, again, that solar energy to it. A bowl of fruit, again, that juicy abundance of the season, the things that enrich our lives, that keep us nourished. And fruit during this time has really that water element to it. Watermelon, right? It is meant to keep us hydrated because it is a hot season. And so connecting to that water element through Mother Earth's bounty is such a beautiful way to connect to that water, the Cancer season. You can put on your altar, like some of your sun tea if you make it, because I mean, why not? Or one of your little crafts to like tap into your inner child. And then, whatever else feels good to you. Just again, it can be simple, but doing simple things on the day is how I roll. Roast marshmallows, okay? Make the sun tea, make a little mini altar, just buy fresh flowers, bring them into your home, light a candle, connect to that fire element, take a bath. These are all things that you can do on the day of summer solstice. So, one last piece that I want to offer you is to connect with the goddess. The summer season, as I mentioned, is very much connected to this masculine energy, this sun energy. And that's because we've created some of these traditional ideas or these archetypal roles with the sun and the moon. But there are sun goddesses, and they are worshipped in different cultures. And one of the sun goddesses that is probably a little bit more well known, but still not well known because we always tend to think of the sun as a male or masculine, is the Celtic goddess. And I hope I say her name correctly because it is in Gaelic. I think it is pronounced Áine or Anya, and it's spelled Aine. And so she is actually this kind of sun mother goddess in the Celtic tradition. And she is associated with fertility and abundance and grain, but also sovereignty. And I think that that is a huge message during this summer season is sovereignty, is our power, what belongs to us and how we carry that through the world. And that's, very much what our solar plexus, our own, chakra that's connected to the sun is all about, our sovereignty, about our agency in life and that we have it and we get to make choices around it. So connecting with her and the elements that she brings, she is very much tied to the land in Ireland and has sacred places in Ireland where she is celebrated and represented. But just also remembering that the sun has these beautiful feminine elements and we can connect to both during this season. And on the flip side of the coin, I want you to also think about the Celtic goddess, Danu, and she is actually a water goddess. And so she's also known as the Great Mother. So again, we have these almost polarities of the sun mother and the moon mother because she is connected to the element of water. And so we have the sun and the moon, both in these maternal figures, both offering this motherly energy. And so, Danu is very much connected to the element of water. And so similar to Bridget is the patron goddess of wells, where Danu is much more connected to open waters. But regardless, she is, the great creator, the great mother. The water is the element that connects us to our womb, to the beginning of all life, to the source of all of life. And so it's important that we also honor the element of water during this season, this feminine, this, really this resting energy that we are familiar with when we look at kind of that archetypal feminine, connecting the yin and the yang. So yeah, so that's the summer solstice. That's the summer season. I hope that you are able to find and connect to your joy this season, even in the smallest of moments. And, take it all in with your kids. Spend the time that you can with them to see them as they grow into the next phase. This is an in-between season, right? The thresholds between the ending of school and before we go back to school in the fall. So have the most loveliest summer solstice. So many blessings. Thank you so much for listening. If you love this episode, please share it with a soul sister, share it with a friend, and leave me Leave me comments or notes if you love it. I want to hear from you. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you, love, for being here. May you walk forward guided by the wild wisdom of your soul and the truth of your heart. To find me beyond the podcast, you can join my newsletter at soulbabe.com for continual updates on offerings and other teachings, or subscribe to the Gracefully Wild Soul Substack. Until next time.